Hey guys, CarsGeo72 here. It's a beautiful day and I decided to make a new video celebrating 3 years of ownership this month of the Mobile Car Center of Excellence I'm in today, my 2003 Passat W8 station wagon. But before we get started, subscribe to my channel, like my videos. If there's something here that you link to, I'm going to link to some videos and you watch those videos. Again, like and subscribe. I really appreciate the help in getting to 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost at 800, which is shocking to me. So today we're going to talk about my Passat. I've owned it 3 years this month, almost probably to the day. And so I thought I would give some feedback on what it's like owning this Passat, things I've done to it, maintenance, and I'm going to post a bunch of information at the end of the video. I'll post some links within the video of other videos I've made about specific parts that we're going to talk about. You know, one of the biggest questions I get about this car is simply, oh my God, they're so unreliable. It's like the most unreliable nightmare Volkswagen ever produced. And so probably to start out, the thing we ought to talk about is, how is it actually unreliable? Is it unreliable? What's the cost to own this thing and drive it? Because I almost daily drive the damn thing. I don't drive it every day, but I do drive it multiple times a week. I mean, maybe it sits a week here and there, but I really do drive the car a lot. It's been actually pretty good for the 3 years I've owned it, but that wasn't free. And so we're going to get into that a bit here in a few minutes. But I think to start out, the easiest way to explain this car is the movie Shrek. Shrek talks about ogres. He's talking to Donkey, and he talks about how ogres are very complex and how ogres are like onions because onions have layers. Well, Passat W8s have layers, and they're kind of like ogres. And so we're going to talk about it in terms of reliability, in terms of layers. And it's really a multiplicative deal, kind of like probabilities when you were in school learning about them, how you multiply them by one another. So here we have a 20-year-old car. 20-year-old cars are all at some level unreliable. They're going to require work. Whether it's a 20-year-old Camry or this 20-year-old Volkswagen or a BMW or whatever, they are going to need some amount of replacement and maintenance because the stuff's just old. So layer one, 20-year-old car. Now we're going to layer on top of that it's a European car. It's a Volkswagen, in fact. And 20-year-old Volkswagens have their own set of reliability issues. So the second layer is Volkswagen. Third layer is B5.5 generation Passat, or just B5 generation. They're 5 and 5.5, pretty similar. The 5.5 is the facelift, but at the end of the day, they're pretty similar. Whether you have a B5 Audi or a B5 Volkswagen, they have their own particular set of issues. And so now layer 3 is B5.5 layer, and then the fourth layer, the final boss layer, is W8. So this trim of the B5.5 Passat has its own set of parts for some things, and some of those parts you can't even buy anymore. The trim even, and the chrome trim and different things, it's pretty hard to find. So the W8 itself has its own set of reliability issues. So 4 layers, and when you add those or multiply those up, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shit show. And if you buy one of these, it is somewhat of a crapshoot whether you're going to have a good experience or not. Here's what happens though. So my car, this one, I'm the third owner. And I'll be honest with you, it's almost really just been one other owner. A single owner since new. I bought this car at the end of 2020. So I think this car was originally owned until 2019. After 2019, there was a second owner for 1 year. And based on my forensics, when I tore this thing down in the KCE when I got it, I would say that second owner quickly realized how much money it requires to maintain or get a car like this up and running so that you can daily it all the time, and said screw that and sold it to me through a broker. So it's a 3-owner car, but really it's kind of like a 2-owner car. So one thing that happens when you buy these cars is, so I had it as this primarily one owner. I even had some service records. For most average people, if you ask them, do you take care of your car? Yeah, man, I take care of my car. I mean, I change the oil. And that is the extent of their maintenance. And really, as a longer-term owner, like what I'm doing, where you're buying it and it's old, buddy, you want everything maintained. You want the center diff, the front diff, the rear diff, the transmission. You want all that crap maintained. And most people don't do it. So, when you buy one of these, the first thing you're probably going to do is spend a chunk of change getting it up to a point that's just maintained. So I call it catch-up maintenance. And so you're going to have some catch-up maintenance to do, and when you do that catch-up maintenance and really dig into it, you're going to find all kind of other crap. A boot is torn on a ball joint. Okay, that's going to have a broken ball joint if you leave it go. And so that's the issue with doing it that way, is you don't really catch all the other stuff. So when I bought this car, I spent a couple weeks really combing over, and I'm good with that kind of stuff. And then fortunately, I have a shop I use here in the Richmond, Virginia area that was not scared to work on it. Okay, so that's another thing. A lot of shops, they're not going to touch it. And they're not going to touch it because it's not that it's rocket science to work on. It's hard to find some parts. They're going to dig into your car and something breaks while they have it. And now, because you're a dumbass, you're going to go, oh, you know, they owe me a new car and all this stuff. You can't get a new car. This is part of the risk of the ownership. And so a lot of shops aren't going to want to touch things like this. So my shop was, and they know me well enough to know that if they come to me and say, Adam, when we were in the middle of that repair, this and that broke, then I'm not going to say, well, everything's on you. You can't be like that with this kind of car. So you have to be willing to work with your shop if you want them to help you out. So I'm sure the lighting is terrible in this video, but whatever. So that's another issue, is can you even work on it? Do you have the room to work on it? A lot of the work on this car requires the service position. You got to pull the front end of it off, basically, to get to everything. The W8 engine is big, and so there's not much room to work on it. So there's an engine out possibility sometimes on repairs on this car. So all of that kind of, when you add it all up, the layers of reliability, parts problems, finding someone to work on it, this is not for people that are just deciding one day, I'm gonna go own an old Volkswagen. You need to kind of be into it and understand what you're getting into. Okay, so that's kind of, you know, in a nutshell, if you want to talk about reliability. So what I'll do is, at the end of this video, I'm going to post a big list. I'm going to post everything I've basically done to it. Maybe I'll simplify it a little bit, and I'm not going to include costs because I just don't really throw costs around, but I will give you a general number. I bought this car from an auction site, Cars and Bids, and I paid too much for it, but that's okay. It's an automatic. They are not as worth as much as the stick, but I paid $8,000 delivered to my house for this thing, which probably was a little much, but okay. I've probably paid that in catch-up maintenance and repairs in 3 years. Now this year I didn't really do much of anything to it, because at some point you do profit from spending time and money on these cars, but it could fucking fail on this drive right now. And so you have to understand that. I could have a total loss event on this drive where something happens that's catastrophic. That's any older car, especially cars like this. So I'll put that at the end of the video. The next part of the video, I'm going to park, and then we can kind of get out and walk around. You can see it. It's pretty clean right now. You can hear it. Man, it sounds good. It's got that really weird W8 tone to it with the custom exhaust they did. In terms of modifications, there are none. Custom exhaust is it. Everything else was a maintenance item, or, you know, normal stuff like tires, batteries, brakes, that kind of thing. I drive it all the time. It's been a fun car. It drives amazing. This is at a time when Volkswagen was really trying to compete with the luxury European makers like BMW and Mercedes at that time. The CEO, I can't remember his name. So there was a lot of weirdness. V10 TDI Touaregs, W12 Phaeton, which was like a Bentley. So, you know, Volkswagen started out as the people's car. It's a commoner car. It's the Ford of Germany. And so these cars were a little out of character. I mean, this is a $40,000 luxury car in 2003. So it drives like it. It's awesome. I love driving it. It drives great. Another question is, oh, but bro, it's not a stick, so I don't care about your car. And hey, I don't care. I bought this to have fun with. But yes, if you can find one with a 6-speed, there were only 97 of them ever imported to the U.S. And I mean, how many of those are around now? Half. And of those, how many are even in good shape? You know, the probability goes down and down, and the cost goes up. I mean, some of those went off on Cars and Bids in the last couple of years for $20,000. I'm not buying a $20,000 car. That's stupid to me. But if that's really your thing and you've got to have that stick, buy the stick. The stick is cool. The automatic is horrible. It's like it's kind of an old man automatic. And it's, I think it's a ZF 5-speed. It's just not a great transmission. The original owner, or sorry, the place that I bought it from said that it had been got a new transmission. I doubt it had a new transmission. It's more likely that they replaced the torque converter because it doesn't shift like a new transmission. It's very lethargic. I've changed the fluid once. That's on my list to do this winter. He said maybe do a few drain and fills to try to get everything working a little better. It just, the valve body seems lethargic, which tells me it's not a new transmission. It shifts okay. The torque converter lockup is really harsh sometimes, and I'm just counting, you know, the days until at some point maybe it needs a transmission. But for right now, it's fine. I'd say it's, God, I can't find a place to park. Yeah, I'd say it's acceptable as a car just to drive around. I've actually hammered it pretty hard. I took it on the track one time for a holiday laps event, and it did fine shifting in manual mode, the Tiptronic mode, or the Tip Tragic as sometimes people call it. You know, I get the question, would you manual swap it? No, I'm not going to waste my time and effort on that. If you want a manual, just find a manual. They're for sale all the time. You know, there were more manual sedans than there were wagons, but you can find a manual if you really have to have that stick. But the automatic's fine. It's just an old fart car, really, just to drive around. It just sounds good. You can kind of hear it. It sounds killer. It's kind of like a VR6, but kind of deeper tone. The exhaust was the first thing I did to it after getting it so you could drive it and safely and legally. It's 2.5-inch pipes, MagnaFlow X pipe, 2 Flowmaster glass packs. So that's it. It's the cats are still on it and everything. It sounds good. It's very deep. It's loud, but it's not obnoxious. If you cruise at 70 on the highway, it's not bad. So I'm gonna hop out of the car now. We're gonna walk through, just give you some external shots of the car. I think we've probably hit most of the high points of ownership. So here is my W8. It's a beautiful car. It's Blue Spirit Pearl. That was a W8 only color. Remember, the W8 was a trim, so that there were other engines and trims available, but this one was the kind of fully loaded trim. You got the W8 engine. This is a unique W8 only color. It has one option, which is the Sport package, which gave you these really awesome 2-piece Volkswagen 17-inch wheels. They're made by BBS, so I do actually have some BBS wheels on my car, 2-piece. They look great, and it got you like a sport suspension, so springs and dampers were a bit different than the stock Passat. The car inside is a gray interior. I have all the build specs on these cars, so I know how many of this one was made, kind of like a Corvette owner, I guess. But you know, you can see, I mean, it's a really pretty car to me. Got a lot of chrome on it, and that was kind of cool at the time. It's in excellent shape. I mean, it has a few, you know, what I would call normal 20-year-old car, 21-year-old car things, some door dings and dents. One of the wheels has a slight bit of rash to it. I don't know where that came from. I drive the car all the time, and I've never curbed it, but who knows? It could have been something off the road, got kicked up. You can hear the, you know, that's the idle. Just kind of a nice deep sound. We'll take a look at the engine. I have a hood bra on it because I've got there's a lot of paint chipping here, and it's getting to the point where I need to get it painted. So I try to protect it to the extent that I can with a hood bra. So here is the mighty 4-liter W8. I've kept the engine compartment really clean, and it's basically all stock, so it's not missing anything. I mean, yeah, there's a few little fasteners that have gotten brittle over the years and broken, but that's it. It idles smooth as can be. Again, there's little minor things like this. I had to put some heat tape. This was damaged, and you can't buy this piece anymore, so I'm trying to keep it as stock as I can for as long as I can. The interior is in really good shape. My doors are locked. I gotta lock them. Oops. Like I said, my low quality, mediocre video making skills. Yeah, you can see it's in good shape. There's really no damage at all. There's a few things like, okay, I've got some cardboard wedged in here because this slides back and forth. The little detent that it used to hook into is 20 years old. It doesn't hold anymore. This even works, the 12 volt. This is double stick taped in. They always break in Passats. All the B5s had that issue. You can probably see the soft touch is kind of wearing off. which was again another B5 classic thing. Let's see, it's complete, so it has the spare tire. It even has a German first aid kit I put in. This side has the CD changer, which works, and my safety gear and whatnot. Spare tires under here, and I do have the factory spare tire. The cargo area cover works. You can see I have bike racks on it. I mean, I actually use this to go mountain biking. It's my kind of do-it-all car. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's like I said, it's been rock solid for me. I've had it towed once, and that was a cam position sensor went bad, and it was running really rough. So 1 tow in 3 years isn't too bad. But yeah, I'm gonna put the repair and maintenance bits up on at the end of the video. You can check it out. I've got one of the biggest things I did to the car was the headlights. I've got a headlight video. I will link it there, and you can check it out. The headlights on this thing are really expensive and hard to replace. It's W8 stuff, and some of this stuff is probably more than most people are willing to do. So whoever buys this from me one day is getting a hell of a car. If I sell it at some point, which I probably will. I don't know if I'll keep it, how long I'll keep this car, but I do enjoy it. I like driving it. Like I said, this week I've just driven it every day. It's fun. Starts right up, even when it's cold, no drama. It's fun to wind it out on the road, and you get some pretty funny looks by people when they see what you're driving. So, all right, I guess that's my long rambling video, 3-year review. You know, am I sad am I upset I spent $8,000 on this thing 3 years ago? Not at all. Probably overspent a little bit, but I don't think overall it's been a bad car to own compared to other cars I've owned. You know, like I said, it's old, and if you get into this car expecting a free ownership experience, you're just kind of, it reminds me of the meme online. The meme, it's like a guy on a bike, and then the next thing is he puts a stick through his own wheel and flips himself over. Well, here it's like, buys W8, doesn't do anything to maintain or fix anything, and it breaks. That's him putting the stick through, and then goes stupid W8. I would say at least half of the garbage you read about these cars is that dumbass. The rest of it is probably well earned. Like I said, they have known issues, they have known flaws. They're not cheap to fix. Hell, you can't even find the parts anymore for some of these things. So you're looking at used parts or getting parts made. So again, if that's your thing, it's kind of cool. It's very unique. You go to a car show with this, some people will really be interested in it because it's so unique and rare. All right, guys, take it easy. Merry Christmas. Couple quick things that I forgot because this video had so much information. I should have probably just left myself some kind of cue card. But so I bought this car with 102 and change thousand miles, and I'm at 118,642 today, almost to the day 3 years later. So yeah, 16,000 miles. That's pretty good. 5,000 a year. So I do drive it, and but it's pretty low mileage still. A lot of these have quite a few more miles than that at 20 years old. So just wanted to add that. Bye.